I'm about to piss off a bunch of you guys. Hi folks, welcome back to West Coast Gunna, and today we're going to be going over something a little bit different. We're going over two snub-nosed revolvers. So, first things first, what is a snub-nosed revolver? Well, snub-nosed revolvers are revolvers that typically have a barrel less than or equal to 4 inches. And obviously you can tell here these are way less than 4 inches. So today we're gonna be going over these two pistols that somebody I know has lent to me in order to make this video. So the two revolvers we have today are a Smith & Wesson and a Colt. And I actually took this to the range recently and we're gonna talk about it. So experiences with both these weapons are very different. As you can see, one is bigger than the other. The Colt has a good amount more size on it. For secondary hand positioning, it can be kind of difficult on both these weapons in particular because of how little space there is for your thumb to fit over here from your left hand or support hand and the cylinder itself. They both kind of have issues when you shoot it to keep that thumb intact. And my biggest gripe, especially with these revolvers in particular, is the barrels are short. Obviously, snub-nose is going to be ridiculous in terms of accuracy, especially in these ones, which do have wooden grips. It's going to be particularly hard to take in that recoil. It's going to be a little hard to keep it stable the whole time while you're shooting and fire rounds quickly. So something that I particularly have not seen before is how this hammer works. So as you can see on the Smith & Wesson, first of all, you can see there's nothing in the cylinder. The hammer doesn't really have much room to it. So in order to get it into second, kind of got to work for it. You kind of got to like feel into that grip. Ideally, you don't have to deal with that. Ideally, you go with something more like the Colt, which has a more traditional style hammer. Again, I'm gonna show you. It's empty in the cylinder and it's easy to pull back. For me personally, when I took these to the range, I found that having them in first was pretty difficult. They have kind of heavy triggers. So putting in the second was kind of the only way to accurately get off a good amount of shots in a decent amount of time. But nevertheless, they're both pretty inaccurate. They both have roughly, if I'm just guesstimating, around 2-inch barrels. So there's not much to work with as far as accuracy. And I was really only testing up to like 5 yards, so it wasn't really much to work with anyways. And never mind the carrying capacity of these firearms. So the Smith & Wesson particularly has a 5-round limit, while the Colt has a 6, which home defense, everybody knows, will make a big difference. You always want to have that extra round just in case, but it still doesn't match a gun like a Glock or just a much more modernized pistol. Not only are these grips wooden, but they're also really small, especially here in the Smith & Wesson. You can see my hand takes up so much of this space. Holding it together is kind of ridiculous. I can't even fit that third finger on the grip. And as you guys saw from my revolver, I don't have, on my personal revolver, a wooden grip, so I don't have any issues as far as taking that recoil and controlling it. And also I have a lot more space over here below the cylinder, so I don't have to worry about hand slippage on my support hand or my thumb falling off or any issues like that. I also don't have to get too close to that cylinder and just have my finger rubbing up against it the whole time. But yeah, so the whole purpose of this video was just to introduce some snub-nose firearms, show you what they are, my gripes with them. I have big issues with them personally. That's why I had to borrow them. I don't really own any myself, and I'm just not the type of guy to carry some weapons like this. But some people are fans of how compact these weapons are. Some people are just fans of the traditional look. Some people like these wooden grips. While they do look good, particularly I care more for maintaining the steadiness of my hands when that recoil kind of hits on these. As they are being smaller weapons, it causes issues with holding it already. And in my next video, we'll be comparing this to my revolver, show you kind of the pros and cons of each side. While I wouldn't say these are worse than nothing, obviously anything's better than nothing, and they're not the smallest weapon you can get out there, to be honest. There are smaller pistols you can get, and I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to be talking about my Smith & Wesson versus these.